thanks for coming in studio. The Damn Things playing a sold-out show tonight. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
A lot of angry Buffalonians coming out tonight.
A lot of angry dads coming out tonight.
Yeah.
Well, you got to hope for that, actually, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping to see.
Makes for a way better show.
Yeah. How did this start out? I mean, when you were putting this all together, did you go, okay, where are we going? Where are we going? And which place are we going to play in?
Oh,
well,
yeah, no, I don't know. It's kind of, we like keeping it small. I mean, we're on the Jaeger tour right now, so things are so big.
Yeah.
Every venue's really big, except when we do like the off dates, which is today. We like to keep it pretty intimate.
Which is probably pretty cool.
It's great. I prefer it so much better than anything else.
Our solo shows have been awesome. On the Jaeger thing, it's more of a thing. We're playing on this big tour, low man on the totem pole, but we get to play to pretty big crowds every night of people who have mostly no idea who we even are. I can't tell you how many people come up to me and go, I saw you on stage. It's like, what the hell's he doing here? But then those people are all at the merch booth and they're buying the CD afterwards. And that's obviously what we're trying to do. But the solo shows have been great because it's people who went out and got the record and are totally into it. So it's such a difference to play to a packed club where everyone's actually singing the words.
And it's cool seeing a band that you like in that kind of setting, too. Going to see the big shows are cool because you get to see so many bands. Mm-hmm. But when you get that intimate setting, and sometimes you get a little bit more performance than what you get at those big shows.
Yeah.
You guys will probably, play some stuff that you might not play on the Jaeger tour.
Oh, definitely.
Well, yeah, it's a longer set, absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's only maybe one song off the record that we don't play.
Just because we haven't learned it yet.
Yeah.
We wrote it and recorded it and then quickly
It's
forgot
hard
how
enough
to do it.
getting this whole thing together, let alone having time to rehearse. So.
Yeah. What's the toughest thing about putting it together?
What, just the band in general?
Well, I guess everything, but probably the tour more than anything.
Logistically, it was a bit of a cluster F word, from the get-go, just because of the schedules. It lightened up a little bit when the Fall Out Boy schedule stopped, because they're not a working band anymore. But Anthrax and Every Time I Die certainly are, and we're both like really busy.
I got you.
So for me and Rob and Keith and Josh, it does get a little difficult sometimes.
So let me ask you then, Scott and Keith, when you were you're trying to merge your schedules, there has to be like one guy's thinking, is that really that important? And the other guy's thinking, no, I've got to do this. And was there a little of that, like, well, because it's all about compromise. It had to be.
Oh yeah.
In order to make to merge your schedules, there's got to be certain. What were you guys compromising on?
Well, when it was starting, it was my wife was the one going, "Is this really that important?" Because I would get home from tour. I mean, there were honestly, literally times I would get home from tour, put my bag down, and go to the airport to practice with these guys in New York or LA or something. So It got very, very hectic, but it seemed like any time that I had a minute, it was
definitely the hardest for Keith at first, because when this was all coming together, Anthrax was kind of we were on an off cycle. We were just starting to put together a record, touring had finished, so I had a lot of downtime. But then that all started ramping up again last summer when the Big Four thing came about, and then everything suddenly started to get fast-tracked again. And, so it did then make it difficult for me as well, and I've been doing a lot of juggling between the two. Like, I literally have as well, like, we finished one thing, and then I'm flying straight into an Anthrax show, and then right back into this. So that's how it's been for me for the last few months.
Now, recently there's been a commercial on for, I think, Time Warner Cable, and they show these guys that are all musicians living in different areas, practicing together
I saw
online.
that commercial, yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't happen with you guys?
We don't Skype with each other. We don't necessarily need to look at each other if we want our music, but there was a period of time where it was just, my inbox was just full of riffs from Joe Troman.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, hey, here's a riff, here's a riff, here's a riff. And I was like, what am I doing with it? I don't know what to do. I think I'll sit down in the same room, and it finally happened.
Probably. But I wonder if it's going to get to that point someday where you could do that sort of thing.
Yeah, you'll be able to play live that way. Just
Scott's looking like, no, I don't think that's happening.
No, you figure, like, if anyone could do it, like a band like Pink Floyd would figure out how to do something like that. Like, they do it already, don't they, with like Elvis and Frank Sinatra, where they have holograms at like Radio City Music Hall, and there's an orchestra playing, and it's like a hologram of Frank Sinatra singing with a real orchestra. So
that's crazy.
I don't know if that'll ever work in the context of the kind of music we play, but
Yeah,
Keith,
but how
if you ever
awesome
have
would
to
it be?
take your wife out to dinner
I
one night,
was
you can't
gonna
play
say, how
hologram
awesome,
Keith Buckley.
How awesome would it be? Or just hologram hanging out anywhere.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have to go and feel bad.
Until hologram you does something really stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like,
That was my
You show up in your recliner everywhere, you know?
That'd be awesome.
hologram me, you robbed a bank. You moron.
Problem is, then the hologram becomes self-aware, and
Yeah.
we've all seen the Terminator, so we know where that
Arguments
goes.
with you. I'm the one who should be alive.
Yeah.
Did you watch Watson, by the way, on Jeopardy? Did you catch any of that?
I did.
Yeah.
I did see something.
He's joining the band.
Yeah. He was actually supposed to be here for the interview.
Yeah. With us in studio, we have Keith Buckley and Scott Ian, and they're playing tonight, sold-out show with the Damn Things. And so they're going to be playing at Mohawk. There's no way to get in at this moment, right?
I don't think so. But knowing Chris Ring, who's putting on the show, he will always find a way to sell more tickets. So I think
open space.
We're tearing down a wall.
Yeah. Wait, the urinal's free. Put them near there. So
can imagine.
There might be. I'm not too sure. I think maybe once it's close to showtime, we'll say if positively there are more tickets available.
I know, Scott, that we talked a little bit about you guys putting it together, but if you missed the story, maybe you can tell us again how you guys sort of hooked up.
Holograms. It was the internet.
Joe Troman and I, Joe's in Fall Out Boy, we met through a mutual friend probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we just hit it off, became friends, started hanging out, like whenever he was in L.A. or when I was in Chicago, and I was a lot at the time because Anthrax was writing a record in Chicago, so we spent a lot of time hanging out, and at some point, he was in Los Angeles one night, and we got together drinking some beers, and he showed me some riff ideas that he had, which he said, these could be for another Fall Out Boy record, but I don't think they'll ever get on a Fall Out Boy record because it was just definitely too heavy for their sound. And I thought he had some really cool ideas, and we started jamming and actually put a couple of things together, like started arranging some stuff. And I remember going home and telling my wife, like, it was cool. He showed me some stuff on guitar, and it was actually really good. And from that point, whenever we could get together, we started working on it. And about 6 months in, we decided that the stuff we were coming up with was going to be worth the time and energy to like actually add a whole another plate full of work, basically to our existing meals that we were already, a part of. So, and then we just started dragging everybody else in once we really felt like we had something going.
Yeah. You probably didn't even expect it, right? This is what it sounds like.
No, initially, no. There was, and certainly not in my brain, I had no expectation that I was ever going to be in a band with Joe and Andy from Fall Out Boy. But like I said, the material was so good, and I really felt like, you know what, I can devote, if I'm going to do anything, I have to commit to it, and it has to be worth my time and energy. And I really felt like it was going to be worth my time and energy to add a whole other band, into my schedule. I felt like it was worth it.
Right. And then how did the Buffalo Kid end up getting into this?
Joe and I were driving around Chicago one night, actually listening to Every Time I Die because we're both fans, and it just came up like, God, if we could have a singer for this, Keith would be perfect. And I believe Joe sent him a text message saying we were doing something, and then he could.
Yeah. And then, so essentially, I was essentially not in any place at the right time. They just so happened to have the record there, which was good.
Right.
So they called, Joe texted me that night or the next morning, and he's like, hey, me and Scott are doing something. You want to be a part of it? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm sure, we'll see how far that goes.
Right. It's a good thing you didn't text back, stop screwing with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut
and
up.
then it was like immediate, like I said, in my mailbox, riffs. And I'm like, wow, they're actually going for it. So I was like, I can't 50% anything, so
yeah,
it became my obsession.
Scott,
sorry, honey.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll do dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
Scott, is that a little test in a way? Like, how committed are you going to be? And sort of try to see if someone wants to get up to speed like you are right away.
Well,
I don't know about a test, but I mean, you just
in all modesty, I figure you either want to be in a band with me or you don't. And why wouldn't you want to be in a band with me? So,
well, there you go.
Dogs in the center, you kids get the sense I've come under. The dogs in the